first thing to do, I'm going to take this hood off. On these ones, there's a spring that holds the hood on. It is a L120 automatic, as you can see there. Now, this thing has a little over 1,000 hours on it. It's fairly worn out. It's another one of our neighbor's things. The original problem was the deck belt had kind of been all messed up, and he's a little older, so he has trouble crawling around and stuff, so I offered to do it for him, and needs a few other random little things to it as well. I already greased everything, and the oil's not bad at all. It looks like he had changed it, or the person he bought it from, because if you can see, it's pretty clear. It's full too, so he should have another season of mowing before that's an issue. And I did adjust the valves too. They weren't bad. They were a couple thousandths out, but nothing crazy. But what I'm going to do today is clean out the carburetor. Only because it runs kind of rough on idle, and it stumbles around and doesn't run the best, and I don't like the way it sounds, and it ain't too hard to do. A few bolts and a couple screws, and there you go. Trying to find the best camera angle here. Now, real quick here, kind of got in a weird spot, but that is because first thing I want to do is plug in the battery, because it went dead and cold. Black to black and red to red. Wow, our battery charger is just barely long enough to reach over here. Hopefully it's not pulling hard enough on the cords to cause a problem. It's just enough to hold it up. We gotta snake in over here and plug it in behind all our junk. 12 volts, standard 12. There we go. Let's see, any comments? 8 viewers. No comments. Okay. Here we are at the front, which is where we need to be. I'm gonna grab a couple tools. About all you need for this is some wrenches. Well, a wrench. Or two, maybe. 3/8 socket extension will be about all, and a couple screwdrivers. Six people watching. Great to see you here. I did clean this all out, that's why the cover isn't on it. Trying to get this piece of plywood on the floor out of here. Trying to get the tool set up here. It got pretty cold today. It was 35 is the high, but as the evening went on, it got colder. You're not welcome here, Grace. Get out of here. You're just a big scammer. Let's see. I think I want to lower this a little bit here. Kind of get you a better view. So there's a bolt here, and there is one directly underneath it, which I can't even really see. So what did you say? Hold on, it disappeared. You're gonna make people think I'm bad. Yeah, that's the problem there. Let's see, we got good lighting. For some reason the camera's not acting right tonight. Okay. Oh, now I done forgot the other socket I needed, which is 5/16. I just now thought that I don't have any table set up to clean this carburetor on, but whatever. I'll make do with what I got. Should have thought of that before I started. So I'll take you out here and show you what I'm doing. There's a screw there for the choke cable, and I don't know if you can see up in there, but right there is the other bolt that we're going to take out. Hold on. I'm going to wipe this camera off, so sorry for the blurriness here. I'm trying to wipe off the camera lens because it's dirty all of a sudden. There we go. And then same thing down in there. There's another bolt, which I apologize for the bad view. Now, let's just spin that here. Get this cable out of here, which I'll show you how to adjust that later on. It just slides out of there at that Z bend there. And then 3/8, get the bolt out of the bottom down in there. Oh yeah, I forgot. Gotta remove the fuel line too. That's a weird noise. Stinking Loctite. There's never a reason to need Loctite on intake bolts. Like, that's just sad. You don't need that. That's just asking for that to crack off in the cylinder. I smell antifreeze. This thing is not a water-cooled engine either, so that's the strange part. Wait a minute, is that Loctite? No. That's a creepy smelling kind of Loctite there. I can't even see what I'm doing now because I didn't bring a light. And that Loctite is putting up a fight. Now, if you're having trouble with one of these running and not acting right, make sure that this manifold is not cracked, because on their newer engines, they made it real cheap and used a plastic manifold instead of a solid piece of aluminum that didn't break at the seam and leak air and all that. But now it's money's, and that just makes it harder on everybody to try to work on these things, because everything is like that. Hold on, I'm just checking the comments. I'm going to block you, Grace. No, I'm just kidding. I'll clean off that Loctite, because we don't need nothing like that around here. There's no such thing as Loctite around here. The only time I ever use Loctite is on connecting rod bolts. That is, I think that is the only time that it's necessary. Hold on, I'm grabbing a pair of pliers. Let's see, I think these nails will work for that. I need a crusty old rag, so that way I can. Let's see, is this fuel line flexible? No. This just has a little clamp on it, and you just pinch it and pull it off, and then rip off the fuel line. Actually, you know what? I'm going to cut that line off, because only for one reason, and that is that line is really brittle, and I can see a couple tiny cracks starting, and after a long time, fuel line gets real hard and it turns into plastic, and then the innards of it collapse, and it's just a nightmare. So I'll just replace that short piece. It ain't very much. We got plenty of line around here. Put a rack there to catch the spillage. You won't get very much. A few little drops unless they're gravity fed. Clean off tools. Gotta keep your stuff clean. 2 likes, okay. Let's just turn you just a hair. And I'll put the camera right about there. There you go. You can see a lot better there. Finish getting this bolt out here. Oh yeah, I forgot. Whoops, what was that? Oh, that socket fell. I forgot to mention that on most carburetors, especially these Nickeys, not so much on Walbros hardly, but they see this little doohickey here. There's a little wire, and you just pull that out. That's your anti-backfire valve. Supposedly, that is supposed to, well, as your engine is shutting off, you shut the key off, it kind of winds down, and that can still suck fuel up through the carburetor, but there's no spark to ignite it, so it just dumps it into the muffler, and then that creates a backfire, and supposedly that stops that. But I've eliminated those before, and the engines I've done it on never backfired ever one time. So I don't think it does anything. I think I might need a wrench on that one because I can't get very straight and I don't want to strip that out. Or at least maybe just get it loose so I don't damage it. Oh, well. Might also help if I loosen it instead of tightening it. That could get us a long ways. Might have to crack that door because it's starting to smell in here. I hate to because that'll let out the heat I just put in here, but that's not more important than my lungs. Okay, yeah. Cracking that door a little bit. A couple inches. That'll be good enough for a few minutes. And then I'll kind of back you up a little bit so you can see better. I think I can get the ratchet on there now that that's loose. I ain't gonna change the intake gaskets unless they're torn beyond use. I think I have some, but these will work just fine. And then there's a couple linkages, or a linkage you have to take off, which I'll show you that. Okay, so, oh yeah. And there's like a vacuum hose that you pull off, and that's so the crankcase can get air. Let's see here. I kind of forget how to do this. It's been a while since I've worked on one of these types of engines. Oh, there's gas leaking everywhere. Oh well. Okay. I don't know what's getting everywhere. Oh. Hold on, I'm trying to get this linkage to come out of here, but it don't want to. There we go. So that's your throttle linkage there. And it goes in there, and that does itch things and stuff. Okay, got a rag here. I'll kind of wipe everything off a little bit here. I'll probably drain this bowl out kind of over there out of the garage, and I gotta grab the correct wrench I have for that. Should be a 1/2 inch. Yes. Now, on certain carburetors, you have to have a wrench that you grind down real thin. You see how that's thin? That's so that way it can fit in between the bowl and the solenoid. Okay, I'm gonna put it in that bowl there, the gas. But it all wants to leak out everywhere else, so I'll just let it. Don't want to to get it all over my tablet and everything. Well, at least that's over by the door where I don't care. And I have it open so it don't smell too bad in here. Now, as for a table, I don't know, because I kind of forgot to get that set up beforehand. I apologize for keep moving you around. Let's see. What could I do? That table over there is full of stuff. I could do it on the seat, on the towel. I guess I'll have to raise you all up for that. I apologize for the jerky camera. Also don't want to get gas all over my camera, but I can wipe my tablet off. Hold on, I'm gonna wipe the camera off again. It's all gunky. Well, that still ain't very clean. I don't know what's going on. Ah, there we go. That's a bit better. I have a screwdriver that should work for this. You can't really clean the carburetor off with it on the engine. Great, here we go. Those screws strip out almost every time you take them out. Don't ask me how I know. It's not like you can use heat because there's gas. Well, let me get a Phillips on my little impact. See what that'll do to it. Sometimes it needs the shock of the impact to kind of help break that rust and junk free. If that don't work, I'm going to use fire. No, I'm not going to use fire. I can't. Not unless I want to burn her house down. Yes, there we go. Oof. It's not wanting to. Okay, I'm gonna grab a flat one. Hopefully it's flat. Yeah. I apologize for this. If this were a video, I could just edit this out. Since I'm live, everything decides to not work too good. And of course, right when I need flat is right when there's not one in the case, of course. Always I'm alive. What is that? I don't know what that is. Well, there's some other bits over here. What about those? What do those look like? Well, ain't none of those flats either. Where are they all? Like we don't own a single one for an impact. Nine. Where are you? Well, I can try a different. See if there's any bigger Phillips. Only flat is really tiny. It ain't gonna do it. It'll just rip the flat out and then I'll be stuck. Then I'll try a different Phillips and see if I can get any good positive answers with that. Well, it didn't even stay in there. Oh, he's not live, I tell you. Well, that don't even fit in the impact. Now it does. Okay. A lot of things aren't making sense tonight. That's too short. Let's see. Nope, that's just gonna ruin it. I can try a Phillips again. I grab a different screwdriver. Let's try that one. Grab vice grips and see if I can grip onto it with those. Grab the rag I had. Yeah, you can see. Get. Okay, I need to get a little looser. Yes, there we go. Hallelujah. Vice grips almost always work on these carburetors here. Let's see. Maybe I need this smaller screwdriver. Well, that just moved, but now it won't move. What's the deal here? Something. There we go. That was awfully strange there. I think I have another screw that'll work around here if this one won't work. Yeah, it's a tad bit chewed up, but it ain't bad. I'll just leave it. Leave it for the next guy. I doubt this engine will even last long enough to have to need this again. It's got over 1,000 hours on it, so don't have a whole lot of life left in it. Maybe another 300-400 hours. As long as you keep your gas cans clean and good fuel filters, you shouldn't have hardly any fuel problems. Yeah, I've never seen this kind of nicky carburetor. If you look way down in there, there's a couple little boogers in there. Boogers, nothing too bad. I'll take off this solenoid. Where'd my wrench go? Clear over here on the ground. Okay. Get this solenoid off of here, if it will. Yeah, it's stuck. There we go. Those things can be a bit of a pain sometimes to get off. I ain't getting nowhere. It ain't coming off. What's that all about, I wonder? Okay, so I'll just spray some cleaner down in there and flush out any boogers, and that'll be good. Well, now it won't tighten. What's this thing trying to do to me tonight? Well, let's go the other way. I could probably eliminate that. Oh, I see. That's strange. This fancy little thing here is the nut for that. Yeah, it's not too dirty in there. There's a tiny bit of rust and corrosion, but that's not going to be a big problem. Just trying to wipe off this bowl a little. Might have to open the door a little more because it stinks too bad in here, and I don't feel like having any sort of problems. I'll open that door and get some cleaner. That way there's still a little heat left. Then I won't die. Okay. Torch tip cleaners. Those are pretty nice. If you do a lot of carburetor cleaning, these things here, torch tip cleaners, work really good for cleaning carburetors. That gasket looks bad, or good. I'll clean it off. Here. Huh. Never seen a carburetor quite like this. I'll just blow out those jets a little. Which those are clear. Take the float out, which is just that little pin, and then it slides out with the needle. It's not too dirty in there, but it kind of didn't run the best. It did run, it ran okay, but it just kind of stumbled all around on idle and just, typical dirty carburetor symptoms. Any comments? No, just Grace. Clean out those jets. Blow all out in there. Just be sure those are clear. I'll spray off that needle in there. Put that back on. And make sure the needle goes down into its little hole. It's just not wanting to. Well, get down there. Sometimes these things are a bit of a pain to get aligned properly. You might just need some lubrication to slide in and out good. There we go. Okay, get that lined up, which can be a bit of a trick. Sometimes, like this one. Now, if you're ever pressure testing a carburetor, you want to, before you put the bowl and everything on, you want to put a little oil on the needle, because a bone dry needle will not seal, and then you'll get leakage, and then you'll think that you got to rebuild your carburetor when all reality it just needed something to help it seal. Try to get that bowl gasket back down in there. Blow that all off. I'll clean off that gasket there. Put it back on. I think it was like that. And I'm going to do a modification here, and I'll show you what it is. Where's that cover? There. So all I'm going to do is cut the little tip off of that. No, that won't change the way it runs. It won't make it any better or worse, but it can cause some problems down the road. It can stick, and then if it sticks while it's up, then your engine ain't gonna run. Battery charger says the battery's fully charged. Just spray out them little boogers in your bowl. There we go. There's some more boogers in there. So I'll pull it out down there. I'm not getting it everywhere. Clean hands for this. And then that goes in there. And wipe my hand off. That goes down in there. And with that lined up, we should, there we go, be able to get that solenoid screwed in there properly. I think that's tight. And does that fit like on that? I wonder. That's just, see, that's, I need to pay attention to the shape of that. Huh. That's weird. That gasket is kind of got like an oval to it, but where it was is round. Let's see. I'll spray off that bowl gasket just to give it every chance of sealing possible. A lot of people say that spraying your bowl gaskets and everything will damage them and stretch them out and all that. Guess what? That's a bunch of fake nonsense, because I've done it for years, and I've done it hundreds of times, and everything still runs that I've done it to. So, that was weird. The lights just flickered. And it's flickering again. Ain't no good. Might just be goofing up. We don't have any bad weather, so shouldn't be any kind of power problems. Hope I got that gasket lined up in there correctly. I can't believe I've been live for 42 minutes. Seems like I just started it. Geesh. Get those screws tightened up. It's getting windy. I don't like the wind too much. At least not when it's cold out. I like a warmer wind. And get those snugged up good. There we go. And I'll kind of wipe off these where this mates to the engine. That way it's got a good chance of sealing. This has like O-rings in it and not gaskets. Back over to the engine, which I'll lower the camera down and get you all where you can see once again. Now this little hose here, it goes on the back of the carburetor right where by the air filter. I'll show you where that goes, and you have to connect that because that is where the engine essentially gets its clean air, and if the engine don't get clean air, well, it's gonna ruin it. That's good there. I'm gonna adjust it once I get in there, but in this linkage here, that part there, it goes into you see that right there, and you see that little hole there, it goes in there. You have to kind of twist it all around, and you'll get it eventually. It's a bit of a trick. It might take me a minute, so bear with me. Let's see, should I go at it from the other angle or what? I think that's how it was, and then that end just kind of hooks into the governor, like so. Ugh. Hang on, I'm just checking comments. Yeah. Yeah, I'm doing a live right now. Okay. Oh, kind of. This is hard here. There we go. And I'll brush off that stupid Loctite that everybody thinks you need on there. And then I'll get it up in there and make sure that it's going to move as it should, which it does. And then there is one bolt there. So this isn't a hard job if you need to do it. I mean, some basic hand tools will get you a long way with these little engines. A couple screwdrivers, a couple wrench, and a 3/8 socket. It's about all you need to do this job. So don't feel like, you can't do it if you have those few tools. Couple wrench sets and socket sets, you can rebuild an engine. And I know because I've done it. So where'd the bolt go? Oh, right there. I apologize for you not being able to see what I'm doing, and I can't see what I'm doing, so we're kind of both in the same area there. In the same area. The starter is kind of not in the best shape on this engine. It keeps one day it'll work, and then the next day you go and start it and it won't. It's kind of intermittent. Okay, move that for you. Get that going in. Should put some oil on those because that Loctite will kind of be a problem, but hey, I'm not afraid. I get it to go in there right. And that little hose I was talking about connects back on that thing, and that's where the engine gets its clean air. I guess it might be called a PCV, like on a car. Breather, probably all the same thing. Well, PCV valve on the car. I forget what the PCV does on the car. I knew that I've taken PCV valves off before and cleaned them on our vehicle, which it was terrible. I forget what it stands for. I'll use the wrench on that one because it ain't going in there too good. And I'll see if I can get this bolt down in there, which the reason why that one is hard is because it's by the governor. Your speed. The governor just governs the speed of the engine, but it's right by that rod and you can't hardly reach around it. Okay. Nobody's commenting. Nobody watches me. I should just give up, I guess, on YouTube, but I guess that wouldn't do much of anything. I can get that going in. Snug it down. You don't need these very tight. Well, you want them obviously tight, but you don't want to go overboard. It's going into soft aluminum. You just shear them off, and then if you can't get them out, then your cylinder head junk and like $300, and it's just not worth it. And you can just, snug them. And I gotta grab a wrench which is just right over here. And get that bolt in because the socket don't fit on there too good, and I don't want to risk stripping that head out. And I'll grab a piece of fuel line to replace this one that's on here. There was a fuel filter that came just floating around on this mower. I don't know if the one on it is any good or bad. I'll have to check it after I do this live. This is boring enough, so I won't make you sit through that. Get that snug down. I'll kind of show you how. So right there, it just kind of get bottomed out. That's tight enough. Well, I'll give it a hair more. About like that. That's all you need. Any more and you risk damaging something. Hang on, I'm just checking the comments. It's a simple job. You can get it done in under an hour. 51 minutes. I guess that's considered under an hour. Oh yeah, and the choke, which I think that's open. Let me look down in. Sorry, a notification. I don't know if you can hear it or not. So that's closed, that's open. Get the choke cable in its little spot, which I did show where that goes earlier. But it's a little tricky, and I don't want to break this cable or bend it. Which I know none of you would know this, but I have a tendency to break a lot of cables. And I have broken a lot of cables. Right now I'm just getting the choke cable in, which is just a little screw and a clamp. The screw is 5/16. There we go. Let's see what angle you're at. I'll raise you up just a little bit here so you can kind of see the fuel line area. Here it is. I'll pull it off. Yeah, this is in pretty bad shape. It's really stiff and it's kind of feeling like the insides of it are not doing the best, and trying to get this clamp off of here so I can reuse it. I'll throw that away later. Let's see. Those pliers over here. Pull that clamp off. Get that off of the fuel pump. Ooh. Launcher. Let's see where that goes. Way back in here. See if I can grab one. There we go. Got a bunch of floor dirt all over it. That's clean enough. Sometimes those can go flying, and you want to be careful because you don't want it to launch up into your eye. That's almost happened to me. It didn't quite hit me, but I've had one fly up by my face. Let's see, is that piece going to be long enough? It's just kind of floating around up in there. Yes. That will work. I do kind of like this yellow line because makes it nice for being able to see if like your fuel pump is working, or you know, you can see dirt if you got dirt in your line. I got it off Amazon a long time ago. Big roll of it's pretty cheap. Clamps don't fit on there, but this is really tight, so there we go. That's pretty good. It's okay to have some slack in it. Oh yeah, I gotta hook up that little line back there. Which is kind of being stubborn. Which it should be. And then it kind of tight. Oh boy. Oh, that's got a crack in it. That's no good. I have to address that here soon. Okay. Well, I'll give it a quick start. And see what we get. Sorry about the jerky camera again. I'll raise you up so you can see everything that does and don't happen. I kind of feel like there'll be a lot of don't happening than happening. We have 1,035.2 hours on this thing. So I'll give it a shot of brake cleaner just to help it kind of get some fuel pumped into the carburetor. I won't choke it because I just gave it all that cleaner. Yeah, that's what I was trying to get rid of is that, but I have a feeling that's going to be just the way it runs, and it could just be because it's cold too. That's enough for tonight. As you can hear, there is definitely something rattling around inside that muffler. I don't know what. I'm guessing after 1,000 hours of use, something rattled apart or rusted or something like that. Yeah, it does. It does burn a little oil when it first starts, and that's to be expected. And that's why I'm not That's why we're not putting really any money into it unless we absolutely have to, because we've got other mowers too. So keep that in mind. Might as well not spend all your money on one thing if you have a lot of others that work good too, or whatever it is. Clutch works, so that's good. Okay, well, I think that's it for tonight. I may get a video out next little while on that, depending on what I want to get done before that, which I won't tell you what I'm going to do because it's a surprise. But anyway, thanks for whoever was watching. Happy New Year. Thanks, IBS, I guess. And I garage full of oil smelling smoke, which don't smell too good to me. It might run better once I get the cover on it and the air filter. It won't be puffing out of the intake like that. So that could be also why it's running a little differently, which I trying to get that cover clean. And that's why I haven't put it on there yet, because it was completely caked up with a bunch of grease and gunky oil, and I figured while it was off, I'll clean it. And I just haven't gotten around to finishing it. But anyway, I'm going to get cleaned up and get some fresh air in here so I can breathe a little better. I do have the door open, as you can see, several inches, but it still stinks a little bit in here. But anyway, thank you everybody for watching. Whoever tried to watch me. It is like 7:30 already somehow. So I want to get cleaned up and get done out here. What's going on with my camera? There we go. All right, so thank you everybody and Happy New Year. Hope you all have great holidays, great winter. I know I enjoy the winter. And that's it. See you later. Bye. Hold on, I gotta. Yes, I want to stop streaming. I don't know why it keeps asking me.